welcome back to day 16 of Survivor 50 seasons in 50 days. I just finished watching Survivor Micronesia. Amanda Kimmel just lost 2 days in a row. We're going to talk all about her and everyone else that kind of pops up here throughout the season as we go along. Today, I am joined by George making his return from the first time, or the second time I did this, executive producer, creator of Survivor Brooklyn South.
Beautiful.
And then we have Santi coming on for the first time, I believe, in the three times I've done this. Creator, host, executive producer, and like a few awards for Reindeer Games. Reindeer Games streaming on YouTube right now. They just finished up airing the last two episodes, I think, a couple of weeks ago. So please check that out. They'll plug everything at the end of this. Micronesia, often looked at as one of the best seasons of all time. I will not argue that. Parvati, looked at as one of the greatest winners of all time. I will not argue that much. This being the better of the two fans versus favorites seasons, I got thoughts about that. And so I'm excited to have you two who know Survivor to be able to kind of push back or, agree with this. And so, George, I'll start with you. Your initial impression of this when it first aired, and has your opinion of it changed throughout the years?
I loved this season when it first aired. I was very excited. I love returning player seasons. I thought that the setup, having them come around that rock and him introducing them one at a time, was very, very exciting for me because my Survivor fandom was reaching a fever pitch at that point. And it was a very exciting season. Was very highly anticipated, and I've only grown to appreciate it more as we as time goes on.
Santi?
Oh man, that's going back because I watched it live. Fans versus favorites for me is obviously one of the best. I love it so much. I also think it's one of those turning points in Survivor, kind of like a changing of the guard type situation, because you had All-Stars and you had an 8-year period of no returning seasons if you don't count Guatemala. And then you had these like 4 or 8 people come back from like those 8 seasons. Scratch, fair play. So it was kind of like a new thing back then. Like now it's more of a recurring theme. But back then I think it was a really big deal. And I really enjoyed that cast, except for fair play. But we can get to that later.
Well, what else kind of go off of that? When people make complaints about Caramoan, they say that the fans tribe they don't really feel like fans. And I would say that here, from my perspective, it feels like we only have about 3 real fans. Like, I understand that there's probably more, just the way they're portrayed. So if you're only looking at it from an audience perspective, it does kind of feel like the Caramoan fans and the Micronesia fans are pretty much the same. And I would say the biggest fan that we are shown, and it's probably because of how far he makes it, is Eric. Over to the favorites for just a second. It is very funny to me that as they're showing the flashbacks of every player when they're coming out, Amy, out of everyone, so everyone's getting like these big moments from their season. Amy's is her hugging her girlfriend, and it's like, really? That? Like, that
was a water cooler moment. That was what she was known for. They kissed, and they didn't show that.
And they didn't show it, yeah.
But
they still didn't show it here.
And by Survivor standards, that was kind of the first of its kind. They really didn't show same-sex people like greeting each other the way that hetero people would greet each other. And this was the first time they kind of hinted at it. This was the first time they let a little bit slip, but it was still during a time when that was pretty taboo for reality TV.
And I did think about that, and I guess for me, because of how I'm watching this, it just felt like a disservice. But yeah, like I understand what you're saying, and I do agree with you. It's just more of a man, but like Amy was such a, and but I guess in the grand scheme of things, because when Micro came out, I was, I don't know, a junior in high school. So that didn't really, it hadn't resonated with me like it would now, that moment. We also get Johnny Fairplay, who I enjoy for the most part on the show. And, Probst makes this little jab at him about, he aspirations of getting out where he was. Now, for me, I do remember this time in Survivor history. And for me, outside of Rupert and Richard Hatch, Johnny Fairplay is the most famous person to come out of the show at this point. I might be missing someone, but I feel like Santi, what were your Fairplay's there? You said you watched it live. Where were you at with Fairplay at this point in your life?
I am not okay. How can I explain this? I think the dead grandma play is amazing and outside of the box, but I'm not a fan of it. And it to me, it gives scumbag. And that's how I feel about Johnny Fairplay. He's a scumbag. And I just feel like the show had this amazing opportunity to only bring back people post All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the only pre-All-Star player. And I just feel like they could have brought back like a Stephanie, back then Stephanie, not now Stephanie. Yeah. Rafe. They could have brought Tom back. They could have brought nobody from Palau came back. If I'm correct, right?
Yeah, no one from Palau came back.
Yeah.
No.
And so I feel like it was a missed opportunity, and I just feel like the Fairplay being there should have been somebody else's spot.
Especially threw the spot away too, basically.
Judd would have been great. Oh my God, Judd would have been fucking amazing.
Judd should have been in there. Judd should have been in Heroes Villains, but let's not jump the gun. I think he would have been a good villain.
We also start to learn more about the fans tribe, and we get my favorite Kathy in Survivor history. Kathy pointing out the gays and the implants within her first 2 minutes of kind of talking to people on her tribe. George, I know I kind of went on a little tangent at the beginning about the fans tribe and how they compare to the Caramoan fans. Watching it through 2026 eyes and watching it back then, did you feel like these are the fans that I want representing me, on the show?
I felt like there was a fair share of actual fans and people that they just wanted on the show. Kathy, you bring up Kathy, and I used to host an org series back in early 2000s and mid 2000s rather. And Kathy was recruited to be a judge for one of the competitions. And she's a really nice person. She's very polarizing with a lot of people from what I understand politically and things like that. But she really rose to the occasion, and it was closer to that season airing. And she made this really elaborate video for the challenge, and really breaking down why she graded things the way that she did on video. And it was really funny, and I'm very grateful to Kathy. But as far as, that just talking about her reminded me of that way back in the day. But she was that the fans were fine. I mean, I didn't they didn't really harp on in their introductions how much of a fan they were. They just a couple of them really. I think Jason commented that he's like the biggest fan of the if I remember correctly, he's the one that came out of the gate. I think it was fine. I saw through the gimmick. I knew that they just wanted to bring back 10 favorites, and then whoever went through casting and made an impression, they're probably not like the diehard fans. I forgot which one was a recruit. Was it Natalie? I think she didn't never watch Survivor. Did I just make that up?
I know that Kathy for a fact was a fan. Eric, Jason,
Yes.
and outside of that, and Mikey B, because he's the only one actually like trying to like, and this is what we do if it's this, and this is what we do if it's that. But like, I feel like at least half.
I think they were fine. I just hated Joel. Like he really got like that was such a piece of garbage casting, and of course he came from Boo Burness. If you
We get another one of his people in a couple seasons, so I'm so excited.
So yeah, that whole dog walking of Joel with Chet is really tough to watch in that challenge. So I was just rooting for the favorites the whole time because that was more the speed that I was going, because the fans, aside from like Eric, who was a lot of fun and the person who outlasted everybody of the fans.
And
go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
I just think to answer a long-winded way of answering the question, I thought they were fine, but I don't feel like they were the focus of the season.
Yeah, and so
I'm done.
Santi, on the other end, we have the favorites, and I feel like unlike Caramon, we have mostly favorites here. And a couple of things kind of happened very quickly. The duos split off of James Parvati, Ozzy, and Amanda, and everyone else. And Jonathan Penner, who had just played with Parvati 2 seasons beforehand, immediately clocks her as a threat. Yeah, we have to worry about her. She has to go. The other person who's being clocked right now is Eliza. And what's funny to me is, who says it? Someone says, we can't trust Eliza because of how she played on Vanuatu, which that doesn't make any sense because Eliza didn't do anything nefarious on Vanuatu.
She flipped. She flipped with Twyla and Scout.
Yeah,
they were going to vote her out. They were going
to vote out. They were going to vote out. What's his name?
No, the round that Eliza flipped, they were voting out. They were going to vote. Amy and them were going to vote out Eliza, and they flipped it and voted out Leanne.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Twyla flipped.
Twyla,
flipped Eliza, but
that's correct. Yeah,
Eliza got the smoke for it. That's what it was. Or was it Scout? Who flipped Eliza?
Chris, Twyla, and Scout.
Okay, that's right.
But I guess my question would be, coming into this season, watching it live, was there anyone that stood out to you as like they're a favorite? Like, I don't even remember this person.
No, they all stood out to me. There's no. I don't think with this group of favorites there's a minus fair play, a miscast. Like I think,
agree with that.
I think like if you look at the entire cast, you have Jonathan Penner, who, God, this is making me, who flipped with the 4 because of the idol scare, right?
He flipped with Candace.
Then you had Amy, who got decimated. You have Sari from Exile. Like you had all of these great. Again, I would say this is like the first new era of Survivor that you've got these great players and storylines with. The only one I think is a flub is Fair Play. Like you have Eliza for flipping, you have Yao-Men for making the fake idols and all of that stuff. Like you have all these compelling players and characters. Like I don't think if you take out Fair Play and you put in somebody like Tom or like Stephanie or like Rafe or like even like these different people from like Palau, like I think this is
Brian Corridon.
This is a perfect or Judd again back.
Or Judd.
You get a perfect favorites cast, and for me, it's not perfect because of Fair Play.
You could tell that Probst didn't want him there, and he didn't have as much clout back then to like. If that was proposed today, he would shoot it down in a second. But back then, he couldn't really speak up as much as he can now. You could tell he wasn't into him being there.
He's making it very known from jump he doesn't like him, and by the time Johnny's asking basically to be voted out, he's making it very apparent that he doesn't like him. And I think for me, and we're going to talk about this with the metabacks and the quit that we have this season, but we're still in this era where if you can't hack it whatever that means, and you quit, Jeff is going to portray you as something else. And I think the prime example is Kathy, which I guess we can touch on right now, because I feel like this is a mental health evacuation. This is what it is. It is not a quit. And the fact that it is still portrayed as a quit all these years later, this is more of a question for both of y'all. I've now seen Austin, who it turns out later, yes, this man was on his deathbed by the time he leaves the game. We have Papa Smurf, who, yes, is maybe could have stayed, but is pretty much on his deathbed on his way out. We have Kathy, who is not being shown, but like we know are saying a lot of things that people like she needs to kind of go. For y'all, I guess where I want to kind of go with this is why we're at the point in U.S. history in history where a lot of like, especially with mental health, I feel like we were at a decent spot then. Why do you think it's portrayed Kathy leaving as, oh, it's a quit? Because Jeff is even like, come over here, because it sounds like you're trying to quit. He doesn't count Johnny Fairplay's move as a quit, like statistically, but he counts Kathy. Why?
From what I understand, he was very kind and understanding to Kathy. Kathy
I get that.
went off certain meds, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm remembering things correctly, and she didn't have the proper medication with her. So the bottom fell out for Kathy around the time that, you know, she decided to leave the game. I think that he was kinder to her than he had been to anyone else who quit up until that point. I think he knew she was done. I think Jeff knew that there was no staying in the game for her. So he was kind to her, right? He didn't give her shit.
Yeah. Well, he starts off like, it sounds like you're trying to quit. Let's go sit over here. But by the time everything is said, because even before he gets to the beach, they're playing the crazy Matt music with the machete. They're playing that music with her. And then they kind of change to the more dramatic, like Jenna Maraska type music as Jeff arrives. But it is more portrayed as, here's crazy Kathy, and then we get, you know, emotional Jeff moment. And I like Jeff. This is not me like shitting on Jeff or anything. It bothered me the way that it kind of was portrayed like this instead of like this, if that makes sense.
I don't think enough attention was paid to mental health for it to have, you know, that at the time, for it to resonate like that, or for the edit to reflect that. They're still making a TV show, and crazy sells. So I think that it was a lot easier to paint her as a crazy person, and a little bit of a harder sell to portray her as a sympathetic character, because up until that point, they just showed how wild she was, her questioning with the gays, her question with the, you know, you brought it up yourself, like she was in your face. So it's like you kind of want that instability out of your face, but you also want to keep it with you, because it'll help you get votes at the end. I don't know, but I think that it was just a different time. And that same situation would be handled with a lot more care in the newer era, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, it's one of those, for me, like a dark spot in Survivor, where like they shouldn't have let that happen, or shouldn't let it got that far. But I feel like they learned a lesson. To me, like, this is not the same Jeff that let Joe go over and hug Eva. You know what I mean? Like, I think had that Joe and Eva moment happened in this era Survivor, we wouldn't have got the same outcome.
No,
and I think it's because lessons have been learned over the years with situations like this.
I feel like we've watched Jeff grow up a bunch from the beginning.
Yes.
I feel like he's not misogynistic anymore, at least, you know, on camera. Who knows what happens behind the scenes, but he's not overtly what's the word? Not masochistic. Oh my goodness.
Chauvinistic.
Woo.
Okay. Santi, we're back to one idol. We're back to, and this is so for everyone that's kind of been watching over the last couple of weeks, everyone knows that my favorite period of Survivor is seasons 1 through 10. But if you want to broaden it out, 1 through 20, because it's before it became very advantage heavy, very big moves and idols and all of that. We're back to one idol here, where you go to Exile Island, they tell you where it is, and you kind of go from there. What is your relationship with idols in the show's history? Have you always been a fan? And do you feel like, because a lot of people love to say, oh, I would love for a back to basics season. It's like, no, you wouldn't. And you would not like that, because, but for you, would you enjoy, in 2026, 2027, no idols or even one idol?
I've thought about this a lot, and I would actually love a Survivor back to basics season, but I think in order for it to work and the premise to be fun, the cast cannot know it's a back to basics season. So there's no indication that there's no swap. There's no indication that there's no idols out there. So let people go out and do, like, I just want to see footage of people like coming to this conclusion of, hey guys, I don't think there's anything out there. So that's what I would say. Yes. If they ever do a back to basics, yes, like that. I miss the old days of just having one idol.
Yeah.
And then
this is actually the first. This is the first season where they replanted. We're still at the point where the idol's still fairly new. We're only, I think, 3 seasons into it being the idol that we know now, before Billie Eilish hijacked it. But we're still at the best form of the idol, and this is the first time that they're hiding it back. And I think that it does lead to a lot of big moments towards the end game, and we'll kind of get to that. But first, I want to bring up 2 more things before we get to the swap portion of the game. One, shout out Mario Lanza for the Mary meme, because it's amazing. And I took pre-merge, I took a drink every time that Mary was mentioned or that Mary had a confessional, and it was like 6 or 7 drinks. It was nothing. The other thing, I brought up in what's after Guatemala? Oh, Panama. That they finally stopped trying to kill their players on the beach when we get to Panama. Like, we're no longer trying to kill our players. We don't want to watch them survive anymore. We want to watch the rest of this. I say that, but moving on, we start getting a lot of challenges where they're actually out there trying to kill each other, including a lot of challenges pre-merge this season, specifically the one with the water, in the water, and then the one that George brought up earlier, with Joel and Chet. And this is another thing that I feel like is very dated because of concussions and everything that we learn a little bit later. George, for you, I know that a lot of people want old challenges back, but do you think that these would even vibe with the modern day audience, specifically the ones I just kind of pointed out, the ones where it's so overly aggressive that yeah.
No, I don't. I think that because of budget restraints, they've really scaled back a lot of the challenges. A lot of the challenges are contained to just a couple of areas. These old challenges are next level. I think new era players would not know what hit them if these things surfaced again. The one that comes to mind is when the person's strapped to the wheel and they get dunked underwater and the wheel's going around and they have to put water in their mouth and spit it into it. You know which one I'm talking about?
The one that they threw on Redemption Island.
Sure. I don't
remember. So that Ruffle Hands would get voted out. Yeah.
I just don't think the challenges are as dangerous and elaborate as they used to be. There's a lot of just standing on this thing and balancing and being the last one standing. It's a lot of that the challenges from the past when they had a lot of money in the budget were incredible to witness. Now they're like, What?
I miss the
So
old
did
challenges.
Zombie.
No, I
I
miss
do
the old
too.
challenges. Yeah, when they used to beat
Well,
the shit out of them.
I do too in a bottle, but like I know for me, I get uncomfortable watching specifically the one that they're running in the water, and it's basically like you're playing tackle football, but everyone is kind of out there. And so like the moments where Joel is throwing, I think Eliza or Amanda, and James has to come over and clock him. It's like, yeah, I don't want to see that anymore. Like it's a fun relic of this time, but it's very similar. If y'all are both old enough to have maybe heard it or have seen the movie Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Of course.
Okay. It's one of my favorite movies. I don't need Drop Dead Gorgeous in 2026. I like to be able to go back and watch it from 1998, 1999 because you it's more of a flashback. I don't want to see Rizzo being out there being demolished by some roid monster named Joel. Like I'm good, and that's I'm not a Joel taking steroids, but the only time I've ever the only time I've ever disagreed with Suri Fields through every season of Survivor that she has ever played.
Watch yourself now.
I know.
You're not in good company.
The only time that I've ever disagreed with her is her siding with the couples instead of the other four. Because I do think this is okay, so this is why we're doing this. This is why we're doing this. For me, I wasn't a fan of the couples. I don't do the whole showman's thing. Like I don't care. And also 3/4 of that foursome annoyed the shit out of me most of the time. So I kind of wanted her to go with the other crew. Santi, the face says that you disagree.
Yes, very much so.
I have a feeling she picked them to break them apart. I think that
That's what she says, yeah.
Yeah, she went with them knowing that they had to be separated and that when their plus ones are gone, she moves up in the ranks.
In the ring, yes. And she says, especially the final three, she says that.
And I think it's more beneficial to go with a group of 4 that's solid versus a group of 5 that is a bunch of loose characters that I don't see myself. Can you seriously see Suri and Johnny Fairplay pulling off a strategic move together?
This is when Fairplay's gone. It was going to be.
No, but I'm just saying, can you see that happening?
Oh no, absolutely not.
I think her and Pinner had something there. Her and Yao-Man were probably never gonna see eye to eye.
She wants Yao-Man gone.
Yeah, and then I think Amy probably is the same way. Where Amy's like, "You're smart. I know where you're at." It was smart for her and her benefit to go with that group of 4.
And it's full bias.
Also, because they're the shield right in front of her, so she can be a number for them. And when they're taking the shots, she's not going to get caught in the crosshairs.
And this is me. I don't think it's a dumb move or anything. It's just me as a Suri person. It's go with the people that I want to root for, and not these folks. That's really all it is. There's no real ill to anything towards it. Also, I just want to point out, Amy kind of looks like Tilda Swinton. I just agree or not.
When you mentioned earlier about Amy had a very, very, very different experience in Micronesia than she did in Vanuatu. Mm-hmm. And I think that when she, they showed her flashback to, her and her girlfriend, I think that she didn't play a devilish game this time around. So I think that when they showed her in her embrace with her, I think the editors are trying to show you that she played more of an emotional game this time around. So they were trying to set you up with that image first and not her being incredibly devilish on Vanuatu. Just made me think of that. I also have a trivia question from season 16.
Okay.
Which contestant was eliminated without ever receiving a vote against them all season? I'll give you the choices. Suri Fields, Amanda Kimmel, Natalie Bolton, Eric Reichenbach.
without having a vote cast against him all season.
Yeah.
Eric, Amanda, Sari, and who's the other one?
Natalie.
Sari. Oh, no, not Sari. What?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Wait, Eric?
Natalie Bolton. She was eliminated without ever receiving a vote against them all until she was voted out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Wait, what? Okay, that makes sense. It's like, no, Natalie got
Should have gave a little caveat there.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Yes, Natalie Bolton. You had me scared for a second. I'm like, was there fire? And I was just like, going back to the idol for a second. So Ozzy, this is one of the big storylines of the season. Ozzy finds the idol, very similar to in 50. Ozzy finds the idol, creates a fake idol, plants it at the beach for someone to find it a little bit later. We also get the Penner medevac that happens because he gets hurt in the Chet Joel challenge, and also Jason finds the stick a little later. I want to get to the Chet of it all because I've kind of talked about, at least through the first 16 days, tribes basically holding players hostage that want to leave the game. You look at Amazon as a big example of they don't want to be here, but we're going to basically try to force you to be here as long as possible. Although in this situation, I'm more annoyed at Chet for leaving because I love Tracy. George, for you, the holding a player hostage thing, fair or foul? Just your vibes on it as a whole, but even if you want to talk about it specifically here.
I mean, players can quit. They can quit. And if Chet didn't quit, he's a number for people. He's a number for Tracy. He's, people are going to act selfishly because everybody always has the option to quit. So yeah, keeping people around because they're a number and they're not quitting overtly. It's fair.
Santi?
So I've done this online a lot where I play orgs and people want to quit, and then I call it a hostage situation. I'm a fan of doing that. I feel like Chet Survivor had this era for a while where the gay characters were portrayed as weak and like a caricature. And I feel like Chet got that edit very, very badly, and I feel bad for him. Yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, he seemed to take everything in stride, though. Like for the amount of abuse he took, he kind of let it roll off his shoulders. So he did have a thick skin, at least when the cameras were rolling. I felt bad for Chet. I felt bad watching it. It just it's one of the reasons I have trouble watching Micronesia because of the toxic Joel bullshit of him dragging him through that challenge and nobody's really sticking up for him. So that's a really tough watch for me. In fact, when I watch the season over, I usually fast forward through
the pre-merge.
Just through that challenge. I can't watch that. It's rough to me. And the fact that they slept separately, they had their own quarters to sleep. It was just really kind of cruel. The outcasts were treated like outcasts. It wasn't like that whole tribe living together on one beach, happy family. It was let the freaks have their own little area.
And the freaks are just the older lady, the woman with the boob job, and the gay guy.
Yeah,
like that is the freak. Those are the freaks in this favorite or this fans tribe. So when we swap, Amy brings up doing a 3-2-1 to get Ozzy out. Sadly, it doesn't happen, but another important thing kind of happens at this tribal that we inevitably lose. Tracy calls Ozzy out on being the leader. I guess, of the tribe, and he's just like, she's laying into him. And this is one of the reasons I love Tracy as a pre-merge character in a season that doesn't have many good ones. Is she's calling Ozzy out, and this is the second time in the last however many days, and I get to see bitchy, whiny Ozzy because he gets back to camp and he's so butthurt that he's been labeled as this ringleader, this whatever. That people are like, Amy's consoling him, and Amy wanted to get him out the night before. I know we have benefit of hindsight now with 50 Ozzy, even though his boot episode is
nothing
whatever.
changed.
His
George,
ego got better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is your relationship with Ozzy through 5 seasons?
Oh, go ahead, George.
Oh, me? I thought that Ozzy. I thought Ozzy should have been a 2-time player. I thought he was good enough to be a 2-time player, but he kept doing the same shit each time he played, playing an emotional game. I never liked Ozzy as a Survivor strategist. There was nothing there. It was all survival, and he's great at swimming and diving and all this stuff. And it was really a sight to behold when he first played, and I think that he wore, like, after this season, I think it should have been the end for him. I don't think he needed to be back as many times because he wasn't good at the game. He was just good at providing, and that was fine for the first 5 seasons. But after that, you got to show that you're playing the game, and he just played a, like you said, butthurt game. Anytime people vote against him or things don't go his way, he acts like a petulant kid, and you could see him fighting with every fiber of his being to not slip back into that, failing in 50, but trying so hard not to fall back into that. But I find Ozzy boring. Now we're talking about Survivor, not his OnlyFans. The OnlyFans is not boring, and that's all I'll say about that. But I do think that as a Survivor player, he needs to be put out to pasture. Enough is enough. And then he shows up with a mullet, looking like Shambo.
Shambo Ozzy is my favorite Ozzy.
He looked like an old lesbian this season. Like,
no, I couldn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't with the whole thing. I loved that he linked up with Suri, and that was the smartest thing that he did. The whole game was allowing her to be the strategy, and he gets to, find coconuts and fish. Not a fan. I'm not a big Ozzy fan. I do believe he's worked on himself and is in a better mental state than he's ever been, but it's not saying much because he was very emotionally charged throughout the game.
He's Oscar now. Santi, Ozzy 2.0.
Well, I don't think this is Ozzy 2.0. I think so. Okay, I was.
Well, I mean, as far as like of his 5 times playing, this is 2.0.
Yeah. I was a fan of Ozzy in Cook Islands. I did not enjoy Micronesia Ozzy or Redemption Island Ozzy. I questioned why he was a game changer, but just felt like they needed a physical player, so that's why he was there. But I really enjoyed Shambo 50 Ozzy because he seemed more zen and more just like, the game's going to happen the way it's going to happen. I'm just going to go with the flow. And literally his strategy of doing that is what brought him to the conclusion of like, I probably should play this idol. And he ignored it at the end. And then, well, he did not learn. I think it's a perfect bookend to his Survivor journey of like, he grew, but he never really learned anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's the perfect bookend. Yeah. And one thing I'm thankful for is watching this after 50 had ended, and after the Ozzy blindside, because we get the Genevieve moment at the beginning of 50 where she's like, who's most susceptible to getting voted out with an idol in their pocket? It's like Ozzy. And so then we get here and
I
it's like,
forgot you spoke that into existence.
so we get here and it's like, yes, this is where the meme, the 50 meme is born of Ozzy getting voted out with the idol. But before we get to that, we have the "it's a fucking stick" moment. Probably, I'd say that Snakes and Rats and the Michael Scoopin scene and the Fair Play lie are the three, as far as pop culture are concerned, the three biggest moments. When you talk about in the Survivor fandom moments, this is top 5, maybe top 10, because it's such a raw moment of it's a fucking stick. You can't, there's no other way for me to express this to you other than you are a fool. This can't be the idol. Doesn't matter that it has a face on it. It's a fucking stick. I know Eliza, and when we get to Final Tribal, we're gonna talk about how she says that Parvati was kind of a mean girl out there. And I do probably buy that. But Santi, will stick with you for this. The "it's a fucking stick" moment, just the entire merge episode, but specifically after the challenge is done all the way to the tribal council where she has to at least try to do it. Where does this kind of fall for you? Like, you don't have to give a number, but like, is it something that you often I just want to watch this clip again?
I think it's one of the funnier Survivor moments that there is out there. This for me is, so I look at Survivor players as like different levels, right? And the fans this season are 0 base level players. Like, they have no fucking idea what they're doing. And this is very clear with Jason and the whole stick thing of like him really believing that it's an idol. And there's no other world where that's not true. And like, it's just one of those comical moments of Survivor that you only get when you have people who don't know the game the way that they should know the game.
Especially in a fans versus favorite
Especially
season.
the fans versus favorite season. Like, I really, like, what was Jason thinking? Like, well, maybe they're going to make it look like a stick because it's like a fans versus favorite season. So it's like a mind trick. And yeah, it like, there was no world where I would ever look at that and be like, oh, that's an idol.
There's just no basis for comparison. No one ever hid a fake idol, right? Up until that point.
Well, Yao-Man did it, but it was never found.
It was never found. So yeah, I think that he was, he followed all the instructions and crossed this and found wherever the final spot was and all the clues, and something was wrapped in burlap. I can imagine, he's not gonna. There's no basis for comparison to him be like, oh, this is fake. What, are you kidding me? He had to have at least tried to, because it was in the spot that it was supposed to be. Someone placing a fake idol was kind of a very new idea at the time.
Oh, and credit to Eliza for clocking it. Like just because the last time she played, idols didn't exist. And so for her to immediately just look at it, it's like, that's not real. It's not real, Jason. And it has all of that. It's like, yes, even though you are right, like there is no basis to kind of compare it to. The fact that Eliza, the veteran, is still sitting there saying, you're a fool. Like, why would you ever think this was real? Is just like a fun little comparison between fan and favorite in this one scene. This is where I get to my first trivia question of the night. And at the end of this, y'all will kind of figure out what I'm doing when I ask this. These are all very passive aggressive, but just kind of bear with me.
I'm intrigued.
On screen, the first 2 times that we hear that people want Ozzy out during the episode after Jason goes home, the Ozzy boot episode, who's the person that says it the first 2 times that it's said on screen during the episode?
Isn't it Suri?
It is Suri. Just put a little pen there. We'll get back to that. Suri wants to get out. Don't worry. You'll understand my point at the end of this. Suri wants to get Ozzy out. She kind of rallies the troops. But this is, for me, the second best episode of the season, besides something we're going to get to a little later, of the hand over your head bucket that we haven't seen since All-Stars. And they're just hoping that Jason doesn't win. and Jason gets to the final 2 next to Parvati. Now, before we talk about his decision there, Santi, what would it take for you to drop in a challenge like that?
Nothing. No.
Nothing?
Yeah. Because I love the finger crossing moment, because to me that is like, it's the bottom of the roller coaster that we're about to go on with the Black Widow Brigade and them crossing their fingers. Like, that is such an amazing moment. I would never drop from a challenge if everybody promised on their mom's life that they would not vote me out.
No. I'm talking about just you're not even in Jason's shoes. Let's say you're in Parvati's shoes. Like,
I'm lying.
I know everyone. You're still just not dropping.
Yeah. No, if I'm in everybody else's shoes, then I'm going to do whatever I can to convince Jason to drop. I think, like, from Cerie's standpoint, it created this obvious target, which then obviously she then directs towards Ozzy. But it also creates a scenario of, if that plan doesn't work, we're still going to go after Jason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it created this interesting gameplay. I would definitely try to convince him to drop. I would not drop.
George, what are you dropping for?
I'm really easy. Like a pack of gum. I don't know.
Okay.
At that point, I'd be so hungry. I'd be like, just give me something. No, honestly, I don't remember the scene you're talking about.
They're like that. And
their whole shades over, and Jeff,
like they were pressuring Jason to not drop because he was like their only hope or something. Yeah. Okay, now I remember. What would I drop for? I mean, if I had the strength to hold my hand over my head for more than 9 seconds, I would not drop for anything. If we're that late in the game, I'm staying as long as I can, which, wouldn't be more than 9 seconds.
I think the challenge goes 6 hours each. So yeah, if Jeff came out with soul food at about the 5-hour mark, I would probably drop. I'm going to be like, if you're offering me soul food this late in the game, I'm probably dropping and just relying on my chips on a bagel.
I do not go out there for $1 million to drop for soul food that I can eat when I get home.
I want to digress for a second. We talked about funny moments, and it made me realize what my favorite funny moment is, and it's such a throwaway, and it's a Palau moment, and it's while they're doing the rites of passage, and they're doing all these, like, they're on the boat and they're saying all these wonderful things about everybody, and what was her name? Oh God, final 2. Katie, who is absolutely hilarious. She gets to Janu, and they hated each other. Yeah. And it's such a throwaway moment, but like they said all these huge, amazing tributes for everybody else. And she gets to Janu, and she takes Janu's torch and just goes, Janu, and just slams her torch under the water, dunks her torch. It is a throwaway moment that I think about at least twice a year at this point. Makes me laugh. Go back and watch it. It's hilarious.
I just did it the other day. I'm good for a while.
Oh, yeah. Do you know the moment I'm talking about, though?
Well, so I guess if for us to be on this little side quest here, in my head, Janu's torch is still at Tribal because this is still where Jeff throws down the torches. So that's this. I actually don't remember the moment.
I'll send you the moment,
please. So we
digress.
We get to the Ozzy blindside. This is also where we kind of learn the Natalie Jason and Natalie Eric type relationships, because Natalie has good relationships, but we don't see that pre-merge. But we start to see Natalie talking to both of them, and she's basically saying, Jason, if you want to survive, you will vote for Ozzy here. And so the Ozzy vote goes off without a hitch. We get the classic Eliza on the jury gif, which is one of my favorites. And then we're off to a very pre-merge of Micronesia. The season is fine. It's a fucking stick until the end is such peak television, especially this point in that reality show history, that you can't find a bad episode from here on out because of everything that goes into it. It's not just the blindsides, it's just everything that happens the first 35 minutes of an episode. And so Ozzy goes home, and then this is okay. Second question. In the very next episode, when they're recapping what happened in the last one, who does Jeff say, and then this person orchestrated a blindside on Ozzy? Who did Jeff say orchestrated this blindside on Ozzy?
Natalie.
No. George?
I'm gonna say Suri again. When in doubt, say Suri.
He gives it to Parvati, and so we'll put a pin there. Ozzy gets voted out, and this is where the James Alexis conspiracy theory comes from. I don't really want to go down it, but people are convinced that they both got hurt for, by trying to steal food. I think it's bullshit. I think that they just got hurt.
No, it's real.
But then, if that's the case, why is Alexis not hurt until 2 episodes later?
Tricks of editing. They both got hurt climbing a production fence trying to get to food. This is what was confirmed to me.
Okay.
And then they concocted certain things in order to, complete the narrative. But they both kind of got fired from the game because of what they did.
Trying to. But
that's not how it played out in the show, of course.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also, like, it still fits the narrative of everything that plays out in the end game. Like, James was probably going to go home soon-ish anyway.
Correct.
Idol, everything with the Idol. Alexis was clocked, even though we don't see it on screen. Alexis was clocked as sort of a social threat to everyone else. But this is one of the only times, before James gets medevac, this is one of the only times I ever liked James through 3 seasons, because of how much I am not the biggest Parvati person. Because after the Ozzy vote, he's basically just sitting there saying, I don't want anything, like, basically, I don't want anything to do with you. Oh, I like you though, so like, I just want to tell you. And he's not having it. I don't like James. James is not my cup of tea. And I'm surprised that he is a lot of people's cup of tea. And I guess this is, I guess, the James section of this, because he is one of these players that from 15 to 20, he wins America's Favorite twice. And James, I feel like, is a worse version of Joe, who everyone now thinks is a huge joke in 48 and 50. I feel like they're the kind of the same thing of, we're not like, we don't lie, we don't do this, we don't do that, we look down on people that do this because we're upstanding gentlemen. And Joe even has winning immunities over James. James never wins immunity in any of his 3 seasons, as far as individual immunity. Santi, are you still a James person?
Never. Not since China. With him getting voted out of those 2 big ass idols in his pocket, no. I feel like George was saying earlier about Ozzy, like he should have only had 2 seasons. I think James should have just had China, and that should have just been it. Like I don't think he should have came back.
He was America's favorite, though.
Yeah, well, okay, that's an argument there. But then he came back for what? Heroes vs. Villains. Yeah, like I'm not a James fan, and he's just a big crybaby. Survivor players. Jonathan is a perfect example that cannot lose gracefully. Frustrate me, because you're playing a game where there's only one winner, and James is just one of those players that frustrate me. I think he's a sore loser, and he should not have come back.
George,
I concur. I'm not the biggest James fan. I think he's great to look at. He's, he didn't need to be back. What did he play? 3 times?
3 times.
Yeah, I think we met him for the first time in Heroes Villains. I have a feeling that's more who he is, and he showed his villainous side. I think it was even Courtney who called him out.
Yes.
You're in the wrong tribe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that he was hiding who he really was for those first 2 games, and then maybe fame. Who knows? Maybe Survivor fame went to his head, and who knows? But not really a fan. One of those people who I feel it probably should have peaked in China. I think.
Doesn't he tell Courtney to be quiet or quit talking?
He tells that to Stephanie. He tells that to Courtney. Yeah, like he
shut your mouth. He says to her something like that. Like really,
which I'm fine with now. But yeah,
same.
Which
yeah, I remember being appalled at that when it happened. I watched that scene recently and I was cheering for him. It's amazing how your perception of these people change over the years.
Trivia question 3. Is Jason goes back to Natalie sends him to exile, and someone suggests that they go through Jason's bag, and another person goes through his bag. Can y'all name those 2 people?
I think Cerie's the one who suggested it, right?
No.
And then it's
I feel like Natalie did it.
Natalie went through it. Alexis suggested it.
Yeah.
We'll put a pin there. And also,
am I expected to remember all these pins? Because
no, I am.
I took an edible.
And Jason doesn't win immunity, and we're basically going to pull a blindside on him, even though he has the idol now. So we don't have to do another trivia question. Natalie is the one that convinces Jason not to play the idol here. Works. Jason goes home. Then we get to my favorite episode of the season, the touchy subjects episode, because from beginning to end, we start with basically James knows that his time is up, whether it's because of finger or vote or whatever. We know this is going to happen. We go into touchy subjects, where Cerie is one question away from winning her second challenge in her history, and it would have been the same challenge she won in Panama. But she ends up losing and letting Alexis win the challenge. Alexis takes Cerie and Natalie to the reward and sends Amanda, who we all at this point we know if if Eric doesn't win immunity and James doesn't get medevaced, Amanda's the next person up as far as Natalie and Alexis are concerned. So Amanda goes to exile. And Amanda gets back, pours her bag out. I don't have anything. And now we know that Eric is going to win. Eric has now won immunity. And everything. Amanda Kimmel's so much fun watching her play, I guess, more animated this season. I talked about it yesterday where like Amanda Kimmel is very fun for 38 of 39 days in China. And it's the same thing this season, but almost even better because she just seems very excited to be out there. George, your relationship with Amanda through her 3 times playing, but specifically the China micro back-to-back. I
feel like she's a good player, but then folds at the end. I think Jeff said it best. She plays the game well, but then she can't bring it home. I think she's a stunning girl. I don't know I'm sure she still looks really good. And she always seems to link up with the right people, but she can't really advocate for herself. And it's been her downfall in every time she's played.
Santi?
Same thing. Amanda walked so Joe could run.
Okay, that's a shit comparison. Because Amanda is out there playing the game. She just
I think Joe's playing the game too, but Joe's playing his way of the game. But no, like I agree with George said. Like in China, Amanda was such a pivotal part of that whole game that she just couldn't sell her story well to the jury. And I think she suffered from what kind of Stephanie suffered from in Palau, of like, you go out, you play the game, and then you come back and you play the game immediately. You don't really know how to tell your story, I guess. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, that makes
like, I
perfect
think
sense.
when you look back, like if in a returning season, if I watch my original season, I'm going to look back at like, what was my narrative, right? And then I'm going to use that as my structure for the next time I go in, of like, this is how I want to build my like redemption arc or my narrative or whatever. Those two players really didn't know what their narrative looked like because they hadn't seen their seasons yet.
Yeah.
So I think Amanda wasn't able to really fix her mistakes. I think she tried to be a little bit sneakier in Heroes versus Villains, and it just didn't work out for her. But yeah, I liked Amanda. For me, was one of the early like femme fatale strategists.
Yeah, I like Amanda. I just don't like pouty Amanda. And we're gonna get pouty Amanda in the same episode that she plays the idol, where she's like basically begging Suri, like, hey, just tie the vote. Please, Suri, please look at my face. I'm so sad that I want you to vote with me. Then Suri's like, no, I can't. Like, I really want to, but I can't put my life in jeopardy for a rock. Suri's the one saying, hey, we would have to go to rocks, and I'm not going to do that.
But I think had Amanda approached that differently and been like, hey, Suri, I got an idol girl. Like, let's fuck some shit up. Suri would have operated differently in that scenario.
But Amanda does play it. Alexis goes home, and we're off to the other, big moment in as far as the Survivor fandom, the final 5 episode / vote, where I will ask my next question. Whose plan is it to get Eric to give away the necklace?
It's Natalie.
Suri suggested.
Suri suggested to Natalie, who Natalie is the one that goes to Eric and says, hey, you should do this.
And then Suri comes in clutch.
Suri says, yes, if you do this, then I will know that this is going to happen. And Amanda plays her role by making Eric feel bad for how he has navigated his relationship with her up to this point. Cool. We'll put a pin there.
Oh my God.
We'll put a pin there. This is once again, this is one of those moments that if you're a Survivor fan, you're either really tired of seeing or you love it every time it's on screen. And I do feel like if you look back on it, this will always be looked at as one of, if not the worst move. Santi, for you, are there thoughts of he's the super fan? Of course, he's like, we kind of see it with Rizzo this season. We're like, where this person is such a big fan that they do or do not do things that, like, do you feel like this is super fandom, or do you feel like they tricked this man so well that he had no shot?
Well, I don't think it's fair to compare Eric and Rizzo, because I feel like Rizzo is a super fan, but also Rizzo is very calculated in how he operated his moves. I think Eric was a super fan who was completely bamboozled
by pretty girls.
By the pretty girls, and like I think that they truly emotionally manipulated him, like because he's the last guy standing, right? And I'm sure these girls are like pulling at his heartstrings. And Eric is like, he is a sweet, genuine,
naive kid.
Naive. Like, I think he was very easy to shape into like, this is what we're gonna do. I think if you flip him and Jason, that same move doesn't happen. Like Jason's like, no. Like, I can see through the bullshit.
I got to mention though, I've had the chance to talk to Eric a bit. I've commissioned him for certain things, art projects for certain games and what have you. And I worked up the courage to ask him how often people slide into his DMs to berate him, or he said every single day he gets at least 5 messages. Could you imagine being Eric and making that move and having it be your legacy, and people basically calling you stupid every day of your life? This is what these people put themselves through in these games. It's sometimes forgotten the toll that it takes on these people. You know, he was a kid. He had these pretty girls in bikinis. You know, if you remember, he was like getting uncomfortable around the native Micronesian who had her boobs out. So that's, you know, imagine these swimwear models basically, you know, trying to woo you, and you're this young virginal. I don't know if he was a virgin. I don't know if that was ever. But
wrong, Eric. Eric in China
was a naive kid.
And then you have Mother Cerie coming in
advantage
with her,
of.
like,
what?
You have Mother Cerie coming in, being like, "Yeah, Eric, like this is probably the best decision."
The guilt. Yep. The mom guilt she threw in there, which is so brilliant. It's one of these things that'll always be synonymous with the show. When they're talking about stupid moves, they're always going to go to that, and it's definitely an iconic moment for sure. But the best thing about Eric is he's developed a great sense of humor about it.
Yes, he has.
It took him a while, but he has. I mean, for the Idle Warfare game, which was my LRG's 7th game, I had him. Do you guys remember the video that I made him do? All he said was, "Idle Warfare? Nope. Don't like it." And I was like, "That's all I want you to do." And he was like, "I'm all over it." So like, he has a good sense of humor about his bonehead move that he made over 20 years. How many years ago?
Micro 2007. So about 19, 20 years ago. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Really nice guy, really sweet guy, and incredibly creative and talented as an artist. Insanely talented guy.
We're potentially going to get him for.
He did
for
the drawing, right, George?
Oh, that's cool. What?
He did the drawing for Angela's one of the games, right?
He did the artwork. He drew the cast for Andy's Arena.
There we go.
Which I'm looking at right now.
We're getting to the Final Four, and
I was just speaking on the Eric moment again. Like, it's just such an iconic moment in Survivor history. My favorite moments in Survivor are when the players push the game to do things that you would never ever see in the game, or kind of like stretch the mechanics. And this is a moment like where somebody gives it up and then completely gets voted out, and it's never happened again.
Well, no. Brandon Hans gave it up. No, Brandon Hans gave it up and then got voted out.
That's not the same thing, though.
Right? Because he was already got voted out. Huh?
Wasn't he already going home?
No, he had immunity. He gave it. Brandon Hans gave up.
He said God told him to give it up.
Well, Coach told him that God came to him in a dream and said that Brandon had to give up the necklace. One of the many reasons I don't like Coach. I'll talk about that in a couple of days. We get to Final Four, and this, of course, is where Amanda Kimmel becomes zombified, as Natalie referred to it. Because as Natalie is being voted, the round that Natalie's getting voted out, she decides she wants to stir the pot. And Cerie finally calls out Amanda for saying, "Hey, I know I've been at the bottom of every alliance we have been a part of." Amanda's pouting, saying, "I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, it's hurting my feelings that you're saying this." Everyone in the jury is reacting the way that we're going to see, when we get to Final Tribal. We get back to camp. They know that it's probably going to be a final two at this point. They don't know for sure, but they have a feeling it's going to be. And Cerie's calling Amanda out. Amanda says bullshit, which, like, good for her. But Cerie's calling her out because Amanda's saying, "Oh yeah, like there's never been a pecking order. There's never been this. There's never been that." And I think that this is where Amanda kind of loses Cerie's vote, at least on camera, at that time. George, this Final Three, and I know this has been hotly, discussed or whatever. When you watched it live, did you think there's no way Cerie's making it?
When I watched it live, I thought that there was no way she was going to make it when when it was revealed that it was a final two. As soon as it was revealed that it was a final two, I'm like, oh, she just lost the game because neither one of them are going to bring her to the end. That was my thought. 100%. I was like, oh, I can't believe she lost. That was her game.
It was, and Santi. But I'm not going to start dwelling on 50 again. But Santi.
No, like this was just another chapter in being a Cerie fan, because I remember watching Exile Island and how she was supposed to go the first episode, and then she didn't go, and then she just kind of is still there and still there and still there, and then she pulls off the 3-2-1 at 6, and like she gets cut at 4, and it's like, that would have been such an amazing arc. And then we get to Micronesia, and she plays this amazing strategic game, and she gets right to the end, and it's like clipped. Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Say, though,
I think in this final 3, she wins. In another world, she wins Micronesia, and Parvati wins Heroes versus Villains.
No, let's not do that. George.
I forgot what I was going to say about Cerie.
So Cerie loses. We get our final 2. And it kind of feels like these people are almost begging for Amanda to just not do what Amanda does, because it looks like she's going to at least have Ozzy and James, like for sure, because James plays the honesty, integrity mess, and Ozzy is heartbroken, and we'll get to his jury speech in a second. Eliza goes first, and this is why I said don't do the heroes versus villains thing, because Eliza goes first, and she talks about how Parvati is a mean girl. And from what has been said about heroes versus villains, as far as behind the scenes are concerned, it seems like Parvati was kind of a mean girl at the Merge tribe on the beach, specifically after JT gets voted out. I guess continuing to read his letter out loud to everyone to like rub it in people's faces. And this is why, like, I understand why she loses in that situation, because that is overly antagonistic. Even what we see here of her just like always treating Eliza a little less than everyone else, it's always came off as, I don't really vibe with this person. Now, what Parvati does do, basically the same thing that Todd did last season, is I'm just going to say this, and you're either going to like it or you're not, but I'm not going to do what this person is doing. And what this person is doing is, I don't know, I feel bad, this, that, and the other. Santi, we have 8 jurors. We could tie. Going in, first time you watched, did you think it was going one person or the other, or you're like, oh, this is very interesting?
No, it was once Amanda cut Cerie, I was like, Parvati wins. Yep. Amanda was never winning the game. Like,
no,
Amanda could have taken like anyone and she still would have lost. So for me, it was just like at that point, once Amanda cut Cerie, I was like, can we just get to the end? Like, Parvati wins this, right? Like, there's no world where Amanda wins, because she just has this. Amanda has this personality where it's off-putting, but she's just being herself, if that makes sense. Parvati has a different things of where Parvati has a very magnetic personality that's not off-putting, and it's just how people are. So
George?
What I was thinking about was Cerie in her first season, and how in all of the moments, all the classic moments throughout the series, I think the most exciting thing for me, and why I am a Cerie fan till this day, there was nothing more exciting than watching her on her first season go from potential first boot, afraid of leaves, just somebody who you just thought was going to be easy out, to becoming a master strategist throughout that season, figuring the game out. So there's nothing really that tops that for me, even though she didn't win that or any of the other seasons that she played. that transformation of somebody who was an easy who a lot of people who, you know, want to play Survivor, that's the biggest fear is I can probably be the first person out. To be a strong candidate for that and then turning her game into what she turned it into, that's why she's a legend to this day. Is she's so relatable. It's an affable situation because we're all her. We're all like these. Brandon Donlin. We're all Brandon Donlin. These super fans who like are relatable and come from, you know, our world that go into this game. That's why these people become as memorable as they become. Not to put Brandon Donlin and Suri Fields in the same.
But it's the same. It's the same. Yes,
but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think that's, with the exception of the Facebook moms now, because for some reason they hate her now for whatever.
Who hates who?
The Facebook moms don't like Suri anymore, or I don't know if they ever did.
Because she was mean to Jonathan.
But outside of that, she's one of the only characters in the show's history where it's almost been universal love from beginning to end, to the point where the only person I thought could possibly beat her, as far as the fan vote in 50, was Rick Devens, and then still like, no, it's probably still not going to happen. It's going to be Suri. There's no way, because of what she means to generalization.
She's every man's Survivor, if that makes sense.
Yes. And as a black woman, like the fact that it's very similar to how back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember the stat, but like the show that was watched by the most people in the Midwest was Modern Family, even though Midwest values would go firmly against what Modern Family was. It's the same thing with her, where it's like, you know, people that have those values, or, you know, values that she might not share or whatever, that love her and see themselves in her. Yeah. And I think that in this situation that we have this final three, it turns into a heroes villains type situation where I do think, like, obviously I feel like Suri probably wins here. And I think that the reason that Parvati doesn't end up getting certain votes, if that's a 3, is because of the same reason that she ultimately doesn't get votes in heroes versus villains. It's because some people see her as a mean girl, a pretty mean girl, whatever that means. There are two questions that I want to, two jury questions that I want to quickly touch on. The Natalie Bolton question, once again, an all-timer, and the Ozzy one.
Natalie said, like, how does this relate to bedroom?
Yeah, how's it resonate?
He was flirting with Parvati.
Yes. She was just flirting with Parvati. Ozzy portrays, what is this word? What's the word? Ozzy basically says he loves Amanda.
I've never felt for somebody like this before, something like that, right? Is that what he says?
Cringe.
Yeah. I said this before we went live. That would, like, if I went in planning to vote for Amanda, Ozzy's speech would just make me vote for Parvati. It was like, this is that bad.
How they doing? Are they still together?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But thoughts on those two questions.
Cringe inducing for Ozzy to, like, how do you kiss somebody when you haven't brushed your teeth in weeks and you're laying in dirt and sand, and how are they hooking up when they're both filthy? How does that happen? How? That's my thought on that.
Okay.
It's cringe. It's you know, but it made for good TV because Amanda looked like she wanted to die. It didn't look like she returned those feelings. I think did they wind up dating? I don't even know.
I think they ended up schmanging specifically. So I was going to bring this up at the end of it. I was going to bring this up at the end of it, but like all the Ponderosa episodes are back on YouTube. So for the rest of from 19 to 40, I'm just going to spend the night watching Ponderosa videos because they're fun. And there's more Survivor in my life for the next 21 days. Santi, thoughts on the Ozzy speech or the Natalie Bolton speech?
The Natalie Bolton speech is one of the sexiest jury speeches there has been, and
if not the sexiest.
if not the sexiest. You totally know they hooked up after that. Like,
Oh, hell
they
yeah.
went, they showered, they went to Ponderosa, they showered. Then they
Hell yeah.
Wait, did I freeze? Or did Santi freeze?
No.
Or did I? Oh, no. Okay, no. We have a weird, like, windstorm going on, so... couple more thoughts. So, the reason I was asking you guys all those questions earlier
it
is...
it depends.
The revisionist history of this show. The revisionist history of this show says that Parvati Shallow led a whole bunch of people to pull off all of these moves, and they were just kind of there, and it was her doing all of this. This is when you talk to Parvati, it's like, oh yeah, she wiped the floor with everybody in that season. It wasn't even close. And every time I watch Micronesia, everyone says this. Everyone says this. These monsters on the internet. As a Cirie fan and as a Black Widow Brigade fan as a whole, like probably one of my favorite alliances, I feel like they've kind of just been it's similar to Kim in One World, but you know, she probably had one other person that was on her level in her alliance. Here, I felt like all of them were pulling off a lot of these things, but when you look back on it, when you ask just what happened to Micronesia? Oh, Parvati got them to do this and Parvati got them to do that. It's like, no, this was everyone. This was a collective alliance thing, including Alexis, who I feel like people kind of just don't remember Alexis, but Alexis was even doing things. I understand that the easy answer is the winner goes to spoils. I get that. But just from y'all's perspective, why do you think that this game, this Parvati win, is always looked at as one of the best, when in reality, it is more of an alliance win?
It is an alliance win. I don't know who these fans are that you're talking to that thinks that Parvati ran the entire show. My opinion has always stood that this was Cirie and Parvati working in lockstep together. Parvati having Amanda, and then Cirie working with the fans, and them all kind of like. But this was very much Cirie and Parvati. I don't know if you guys watched Australia versus the World, but you see this Cirie and Parvati again, but like at a better level. So whoever these fans are that are saying this is the Parvati show and she did all this, that's bullshit. It was not. It was very much an alliance win, not a singular win. That makes sense.
I agree with that.
I George, do you have any other thoughts with it?
No, he put it perfectly. I always looked at it as a collaborative effort, and everyone played their role in it. It's just who was lucky enough to make it to the end. And I think that a lot of people who are, really hyping up Parvati's game just want to validate her as a winner for the season. It's easier to say that she dominated. She did, but they all did. Everyone in that little alliance dominated. And that's my response to that.
Okay.
I have to go to bed.
Okay, no, don't worry. We're so first question, who would your ally be on this season?
Mary.
Okay. Santi.
Just kidding.
I mean,
I was wondering why you would ask me and George this question based off of what we said for the last hour and a half. Cirie.
Cirie, yes. Okay, Cirie.
Every time.
Second question, something that the modern day fandom would not like about Survivor Micronesia.
Something that the modern fandom...
Oh, the whole Chet storyline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Being dragged. Like, that would never fly in the modern fandom.
No, that you're right about that. And I think we touched on it too. They would be a lot gentler with Kathy. Yes,
I agree with both. Mine goes a different way. I don't, because of HHH and how people backlash with that. I feel like there would be an even bigger backlash to the final three twist not being final three, being a final two, because it's kind of just sprung on them at the end of the game. So that's going to wrap up Survivor Micronesia. George, where can we follow your game? When is it happening and all that jazz? Where are we at?
November 7th, we're doing a little bit of a departure from the Survivor format. We're stealing the concept of 99 to beat and scaling it down to 19 to beat, and that's happening on November 7th. It's fully cast, and we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to everybody walking away friends because nobody's backstabbing each other and voting each other out. So it's a challenge-based game, and we're really looking forward to pulling that off. November 7th, watch it live streamed.
Santi?
Hello. You can find me at Hey It's Santi on Instagram. I am currently casting for my summer game that will be hosted on July the 25th, the Summer Games. You can also catch episodes of my live reality game, Random Games, on my YouTube channel. Also, Hey It's Santi. Thanks so much for having me, Coach. And George, I want to talk to you about this. You don't think that there's going to be groupings together to like knock people out? Like you don't think that there's going to be alliances forming to put somebody at the end?
I think that, yeah, I do think that there will be some sort, because we're casting people that are in relationships with each other, kind of like what they did on the actual show.
Yeah.
So when they have to group up, I'm sure there's going to be people grouping up who want to work together, who knows that their prowess. So, but it's not like you're not voting people out. So that's the part that we're skipping.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch that.
It'll be fun.
Well,
you should come visit and work on it. November 7th.
My fall is booked.
What?
My fall is booked.
All right,
we'll talk.
I'll say more when we get off the live.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for coming on and talking about Micro. For me, of the first 16 seasons, is my second favorite season behind Pearl Islands and right in front of Vanuatu. I'm really excited to talk about Total Drama Island tomorrow, Gabon. It's going to be a great time. Thank you to everyone in the chat, everyone that's been messaging me on Instagram and all the other things. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, and we will see you tomorrow for Survivor Gabon.
Thanks, Drew.